How are you today? Happy Monday. Welcome back. Glad to be here. Glad to continue unearthing the work and see where we can get to, right? So today's topic, light your lights, right? Because that's a you thing. You're in charge of that. You're in charge of how lit up you are, right? Quite frankly, and how you go about living your life in terms of your own personal energy. Now, this whole crazy thing, right, and I started addressing it last time, was really started 6 months ago when I found myself just in complete despair. I mean, like, in trouble, up here, right? Because I couldn't abandon my own mind. I couldn't abandon the ego. I couldn't abandon the fear. I couldn't abandon the pain. And for that, I am blessed. Right? Because that put me into a situation where I was willing to do anything, anything, to not be in pain. So it set me on this course of trying to essentially alter my mood and personal expression and vibe, right? Like I was willing to do anything to change that. And so I started getting really curious about what effect could I have on that. Was that a me thing? Because up until then, I had been joining, therapy sessions and different groups and different ways to look at things and different spiritual things and whatever else, right? Because I was out there looking in the world for answers out there. And it wasn't until I started looking for answers in here that the game started to shift and change, right? When that became a me thing, when I became responsible for my mood and vibe. When I started chasing that down, when I started to discover that, actually, I can throw myself into joy anytime I want, that's a me thing? I can do that for myself? When I started understanding that, and that all the energy within myself, I can prescribe for me. When I started seeing life like that, the whole thing started to shift, right? Because I found that I could not only throw myself into joy on my own say-so, but also anytime I wanted. When I started to discover that, I was like, oh, wow, this is super interesting. This is a me thing. This is a me thing, right? This depression, this anxiety, this level of despair is something that I can change within myself, on my own say-so, anytime I want, right? And so I started to discover that. I started to chase it, right? And I found that, if I do this, I get joy. It was just that simple, right? And so I kept doing that. And once I discovered that I could do that, to throw myself into joy anytime I wanted, the next step was what? The next step was to see if I could hold that vibrational tone of joy throughout the entire day. Again, that's a me thing. And see if I could be in charge of that. But it took really changing the way I was looking at the world, didn't it? Right? And seeing that the world out there was not attached to the world in here. The world in here is what I seek to be master and commander of. I can't be master and commander of the outside world, of the external, right? I have no, power, authority, or charge in that direction. But up here, that's all me. That's all me on my own say-so, saying yes or no to joy. It is. And so once I started to chase that and to see if I could hold within myself nothing but pure joy, right? That I could start to adjudicate the world by what was throwing me off. Ooh, that threw me off of joy. Ooh, that threw me off of joy. Ooh, that threw me off of joy, right? And every time something like that would show up, I'd have to look at it and go, okay, why is that throwing me off of joy? And is there something that I can tweak there in order to fix that, right? And so again, like it just started becoming more and more of a me thing for me to be in control of what I was doing and how I was experiencing the world. I hope that you've been following some of these videos because I really did lay out a very clear path, right? How I abandoned the mind, how I abandoned despair and got out of the world that sees things as good and bad and right and wrong. To inhabit myself on my own say-so and inject myself with joy, right? Because again, that's a me thing. I'm in control of that, and I know what levers to pull now in order to get back into joy should I lose it, right? It's just so crazy. It's so crazy how you can actually gain mastery over that. And when you do, when you get out of the egoic mind, the greatest shift happens that, like, I can't even describe it in words, but when you get into alignment with source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, whenever you get into that alignment, just notice what takes you off the mark, right? Because that's where your learning is. That's where the red flag is for you, right? That's where the learning is, and we run to it. To fight anything is to fight our own alignment. But when you get out of the ego that requires a fight, because it requires duality of good and bad, or right and wrong, or them versus me, right? When you abandon the duality of the conscious mind and stop thinking and start being from here, you no longer have access to the egoic mind that requires that me versus them, that requires the two sides to everything. Because when you're in your heart consciousness, we're just one, right? There is true unity. There's no me versus them. It's just us. It's just us humans having an experience moving in the direction of love. And that's just it. Like, that's the only thing, right? And again, in order to get to this place, you got to do a lot of work and you got to unpack some stuff and whatever else, but it's so worth it. And there's nobody playing against you other than you. That's the craziest thing. Like, there's no other team that's working for you to fail, right? Working against you. There's only one team, and they're all working for your success, right? So success is guaranteed if you go down this path and chase this and unearth it and work to abandon the egoic mind and drop into your heart consciousness where you do not have access to fear or complaint, right? It's such a game changer, and I hope that you want this for yourself because it will light you up, right? This is what we're talking about when we're talking about lighting your lights. You lighting up your own lights, lighting yourself up. That's a you thing. You're in control of that. You can do that, right? And so I do hope that you always go back and review the videos, especially Evolving Past Fear. That's the video that I really walk you through the steps in order to get out of the ego and into the heart, right? And the first step is just so, and again, like even just like the first step, like it lights me up just thinking about it. Why? Because the first step of getting out of the ego and into the heart is found through the portal called childhood wonder, right? Think about childhood wonder and see if you light up. I guarantee that you will. It's really hard to think about childhood wonder and not start to attach yourself and your heart to a higher purpose and consciousness, right? Because that's where it all began for us, right? That's where our magic, our personal magic started to be realized on planet Earth, right? It was right there in childhood wonder, right? So if that's the first step, and how wonderful is that step? I mean, it's so lovely to inhabit, right? If you just start there and just keep chasing towards trust and things that you can open yourself up to, working yourself away from pain, right? Because pain will always show up, as evidenced by that last video, as the thing that tells you you're off the mark. Pain is so valuable in terms of information as it arrives to us. It's the thing that tells you, nope, wrong answer. Or you're doing something that's harming you, right? So if we look at pain as having that energy signature as the greatest helper that you have, and not something to be strong-armed and silenced, right? If we look at pain from that perspective, there really is like nothing working against you. Everything is working for you, right? And when you get into that expression that everything is working for your success, you understand true love. Because true love really is always working for your highest and best, is it not? Right? And so if that's the expression of Creator, working for our highest and best, all we have to do is dial in, listen, and go for the ride, right? Because the rest is in good care. Right? We don't have to resonate with complaint or seeing things as wrong, because we know that even the things that we're not currently enjoying, such as pain, is being delivered to us with great value. If we're listening, if we're willing to get quiet enough to get ourselves out of the driver's seat and make a little room for something else to come in and help guide our lives, right? It's why we personally must work in conjunction with spirit. Right? And that's all that we're like talking about doing in here, right? Is harnessing the power of the universe to give our lives wings, to set us free energetically on all levels, to unshackle ourselves from the past and any chains that are dragging us down, right? Anything that shows up as heavy and pain, you know is not right. You know is not good for you. That is not the direction you should be heading. So if you're living in pain up here, what's off? What is the universe trying to tell you that you need to adjust in order to be in alignment? Being in alignment isn't painful. That's the absence of pain, right? And when you get to this place, oh my gosh, like just to sit outside and like resonate with what is and take in the expression of Creator in the current moment is just like, it waters you, it fulfills you, it allows you for the briefest moment on this very dense planet to feel whole, to feel as we should, I believe. The pain part, the ego part, that's all like the universe saying, that's bad for you, right? As pain does. So we got to look at that. We got to listen to that, right? We got to listen to that in order for us to light our lights. That's an us thing. We can do that. And not only can we do that for ourselves, we can do it for others, can't we? Right? I have so much joy and satisfaction doing this and hearing from others that my work doing this lights them up, right? And knowing that I'm lighting others up increases my light, right? It's the most wonderful thing in the world. If you want to make your day, make someone else's. That's what this whole thing is about. That's why we're here. That's where your magic lies. That's power. That's personal power. To be so lit up, right? Because what we have to give. And if you're so lit up that you have it to give, then you know by that act of giving it that you have it to give. That's a master's trick. That's a master's trick, right? Because you know that in the expression of giving it away, And it's not until you do that, it's not until you give it away, that your soul honestly understands that you have it to give. That's the lesson, right? That's why we have this spark of magic. That's why we have this light within us. We have this light to give it away and light up an entire stadium of others with just one light, right? That's the purpose of it. That's what we have to give. And so, we look at this incredible gift, this incredible expression of us being able to light our own lights. And when we do that, we have so much that we have it to give. Right? I've been thinking a lot about when love said no. Right? It's so interesting to me to be able to access yes or no from the ego, but also being able to access yes or no from love. It's that last quadrant that's so interesting and tricky, isn't it? Right? Saying love from no. And so I've been really digging into that and trying to understand the fulcrum, right? That tips that scale from saying no from the ego versus saying no from love. And I know that once I figured that out, because it's not just a fulcrum, right? Once you figure that out, what this access point is here energetically, once you understand that, this isn't just a fulcrum, it's a lever. It's a lever that you can pull at any time to adjust yourself, to light your lights, right? Again, that's personal power. That's what they were talking about, be able to walk through the valley of death without fear, right? It's in that place, in that higher level of consciousness where you have no access to it. Right? And everything truly is conspiring for your best. Because we understand the energy of the intelligence of the universe, the intelligence that created us as their children. You wouldn't create a child or an expression of you, whatever that looks like, and then, plan all these horrible things and pain and, terrible things. No, it doesn't even make sense, right? In the expression of creation, to create something in either your own, likeness or however you want to verbalize that. However it is that we came to be. I am certain that we were created for purpose and for joy and for love. Why? Because that's the only thing there is. Why? Because when you unpack fear to its greatest, depths, as I've often done in here, right? And I've talked about when you unpack the fear, you get down to nothing. There's nothing there. Fear is an illusion. So originally when I was saying that, I'm saying, big things that need to be explained, and I didn't fully understand it then at that time, even as it's coming out of my mouth. Right? Because I'm clearly not afraid to do that. Right? Because I understand that this is a learning process, and that what I'm doing in here is often being in flow. And what happens through the channeling of flow is just an interaction with the beyond, right? And so sometimes I say things or I do things that I'm still very much working out. But what I figured out when it comes to the expression of love is the only thing that there is, and I know at one point I'm like, I will explain that at some point, but meanwhile in my head I'm thinking, I can't explain it right now, but at some point I will be able to. Right? And so I finally got to I'm like, I know that that's truth. That resonates as truth within me, but I don't understand why just yet. Right? But I figured it out as I was going down the path, right? Because as I kept unpacking things and getting down to fear and breaking it apart and looking in there and going, there's nothing there. So if there's nothing there in the fear, if it's just an illusion, then the only thing that there is love. It's the only thing left, right? And I didn't fully understand it in that way as I was saying it the first time, but I get it now. I get it now. Love is the only thing there is because fear is an illusion. And we adjudicate everything either by fear or love, right? And so if one is just an illusion, then there's only one left, right? And so that's how, at least in my understanding, that this whole thing works. And this whole thing works and is explained to me regularly through my spiritual practice of shamanism. Understanding shamanism and studying what it takes in order to become a shaman is the deepest level of energy work that has ever been explained to me on planet Earth. Because it doesn't go back 2,000 years, right? Like some spiritual practices. It goes back to the beginning of people. And when they're explaining things to you generationally like that, in terms of like how we all came to be, right? And things are explained to you from that point of view, and you start tapping into the generational energy work that has existed here on this plane for eons. You don't have to understand electricity to understand how to work a light switch. I don't fully understand all of the energy work, but I study the fulcrums of things that make things go that you can then turn into levers to adjust for yourself up here in order to be master and commander of you, right? And so I hope that you find for yourself, right? We started talking about the trailhead to your own mind, to begin to unearth and discover for you what's true. I'm not in here telling you what's true, because truth, right, is the same as perspective. Your truth might not be my truth, right? It's the whole good and bad and right and wrong thing. Truth is a slippery word. There's no such thing as truth, right? There's commonality that we all agree upon, but actual truth is a personally prescribed thing, and my version of truth might be different than yours. So again, there's no there, right? It's a terrible measuring stick for actually determining like anything, because we all arrive with our own version of what is truth, right? Just like what is good or what is bad. Those are all judgment calls. That's from the ego, and that has to end, right? So we arrive here at this place, and I have proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I'm in charge of my own joy, and that I can throw myself into joy anytime I want. Not only that, I can do it on my own say-so. I don't need anybody else's permission, right? Or even understanding, as I often do in traffic. Yay! Right? Because I am just there partying my ass off, right? And having a great time in traffic, demonstrating to people that, oh, by the way, this is an option. Yeah, traffic is terrible, but that doesn't mean that you have to be in a bad mood, right? In fact, like, I actually use it as an opportunity for what? Oh! To connect with others and to try and see if I can get a little bit of a smile out of the other people who are stuck in traffic around me. Why? Because I'm being ridiculous and I'm being fun and I'm like just having the greatest time, right? Because all of these things, these energy work, the lighting of our lights, right? That is something that you can pass from one being to another, right? You can pass on your light to another. Build yourself up. Light your lights. Light them so bright that you have lightness to give away. That's how we win. We light up everybody, right? Because if the next goal for me is love and unity, and that all my decisions from this point forward have to live in service to that, well, now we actually have something to start to build with, don't we? Right? And if we had a lot more people who are all seeing this thing as the same deal, that we're here to support and love one another first and foremost, and that our decisions within ourselves have to live in service to love and unity, right? that starts to look really different, doesn't it? And I'm excited about it because that's where we're going. Light your lights. Know that you're responsible for that, that you can do that. You can inject yourself with joy anytime you want on your say-so. It's not up to the world. It's not up to the world. Stop making it about them, okay? Start making it about you and how much you want to experience love and lightness and joy in your day. The rest of it doesn't matter. It does not matter, right? Close the door on that. Stay seated in self. Understand that the entire world is there just for one purpose, and that's to tell you what needs to be adjusted internally. That's where we are today. I hope that you have a great day. I know that I will, and I'm going to go do some driving, so I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.